Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch World Cup Roundup 2019 Standout Players List. So, this is probably going to be the final video on the Overwatch World Cup this year. Sad, I know, it's been a great year for the channel in terms of the Overwatch World Cup, but it can't go on forever. I can't just keep making content on the Overwatch World Cup because there isn't enough content to go around. Obviously, we've got the Overwatch League coming soon anyway. But I wanted to make a list of players that I think really stood out at this World Cup and deserve a chance either at the top level of Contenders, or maybe they're already there and they deserve a chance at the Overwatch League and a contract in the league for next season. Now, when I'm talking about these players, potential destinations, right? Well, they're probably not going to end up at the likes of the Paris Eternal or Toronto Defiant, Washington Justice, Philadelphia Fusion, Hangzhou Spark, Seoul Dynasty, Guangzhou Charge, because a lot of these teams have actually sealed their rosters already. LA Valiant is another one. But there's some rosters, like the Boston Uprising, like the Florida Mayhem, like maybe the Atlanta Reign, because they haven't sealed everything down yet. Maybe the Los Angeles Gladiators, they've only got one DPS at the moment. Dallas Fuel maybe, because there could still be changes there. The London Spitfire are still looking for a lot of players. Maybe some of these teams could have a look at these players and think, hey, why not? Let's give these players a go in the Overwatch League because they've done really well during this Overwatch World Cup. I'm going to go through a list of 5 players that I think are worth a chance. Spoiler alert, they are all from Europe. Now, you may think that's a bit biased of me, but there's a good reason for this. All the Korean players at the World Cup are already signed to Overwatch League teams. And most of the I think all of the American players are as well. And all the Chinese players are as well. So, kinda only leaves Europeans. Sorry. And in terms of South America and that, we didn't see much of that at the World Cup anyway. The first player is Facility. Facility is a DPS for the Netherlands. He is currently playing for the Montreal Rebellion in Contenders NA. Montreal Rebellion, if you didn't know, is the academy team of the Toronto Defiant. Facility has had a long history with Overwatch esports. He played at the 2017, 2018, and obviously this World Cup. He's well known for his Genji, his Pharah, his Doomfist, his Mei. He's a projectile specialist. He's got a bit of earnings in the bank. He's been around the block. He started out with ECV Esports. He then moved on to Mosaic Esports. He then played for August and Hungary. August and Hungary are a former home of the Paris Eternal support player Cruz. Then he moved to Toronto Esports, and then he moved to Team Giganti, who are very, very successful in European Contenders, and then obviously he's now with the Montreal Rebellion. He's a very flexible player, and I think he's had a really, really good World Cup for Team Netherlands in that DPS role. So I think he could be given a chance in the Overwatch League. Why not? Scouts at the World Cup, they should look at this player and think, hey, why not give him a chance? He's looked really good, and there's some rosters he could slip into. Now, the LA Gladiators is kind of the outlier here, because I think if you're going to go on the LA Gladiators, you kind of need to speak Korean. And I doubt whether a lot of these players can do that. The reason for that is, yes, you may say the LA Gladiators have a mixed roster, but the likes of Big Goose and Shaz, they speak Korean. They've learned Korean to fit in with the rest of the roster. And recently, I believe the LA Gladiators have just signed Verdering. So, they want to go down that Korean-speaking route. I don't think Facility will fit in here, nor any of the others, actually. But places like the Boston Uprising, it's a possibility. And it would be a surprise, but if London Spitfire go down the route of a mixed roster, maybe it might happen there as well. But we have no idea what's going on with London at the moment, unless by the time this video comes out, something's changed. So, we've got until the 15th to find out. Facility, I really think is worth a try. I'd love to see someone Dutch in the league. I don't believe there is a Dutch player in the league, and I think he's really worth a try. Now, another name I've seen brought up quite a lot recently, I saw it in the comments section, and I completely agree, is Leaf. Leaf was the DPS player, the projectile DPS player, for France. So, France did really, really well at this World Cup, coming fourth, losing to South Korea in the third place playoff. But they did beat South Korea in the group stages, and they've had overall a very good World Cup. They've looked better than ever. Leaf currently plays for Team Giganti in Contenders Europe. He also played for Samsung Morning Stars. He also played for Eagle Gaming. Eagle Gaming were quite a force back a while ago in European Contenders. He started off at Gamers Origin, he went to Mixy Mix, and then back to Gamers Origin before he went to Eagle Gaming. So, he's actually got a lot of trophies in his back pocket, right? So, when he was on Team Gigante, he came second in Contenders Europe Season 2 this year, losing to HSL. He won the FEL Overwatch Cup with Team Gigante. When he was at Samsung Morning Stars, he won the Overwatch Omen by HB Assembly Winter. And he also came, I believe, was it third or fourth? Losing to the Angry Titans in Contenders Season 3 of 2018. When he was at Eagle Gaming, he won Contenders Season 2 2018, because Eagle Gaming were really big back then. And he's got a lot of medals and trophies in his bag. With Gamers Origin, he won the DreamHack Tours 2017 and the Montpellier Esports Show. So, I think this player has a chance of being picked up. I really do. He was one of the most outstanding DPS players at the World Cup, in my opinion. Alongside one of the other ones we're going to talk about in a minute. But I really think Leaf deserves a chance or a shot in the Overwatch League. The thing is, I think the most likely destination for Leaf would have been the Paris Eternal, and looking at the movements that the Paris Eternal are making right now, I think it's unlikely. So, again, we're looking at the likes of Boston Uprising or Florida Mayhem to pick him up here, and you've always got to take that first step. You can get into the league, you can pop off for like one of those, perhaps what you would call lower teams, and then all of a sudden you've got bigger teams looking at you, so there's always a possibility there. Moving on then, and we have another DPS player. Another one that a lot of people have been kind of hyped up about, and this is Fischer. Not Fischer the tank player, no. Fischer the DPS player for Denmark. Now, Denmark have had a remarkable World Cup. They do have a really good roster, but they've never been quite able to put it all together and pop off. This year, however, they did. So Fischer has been at the 2017 World Cup, 2018 World Cup, and obviously this year. But this year he really did put on a show. He currently is signed to HSL Esports. Now HSL Esports are the current champions of Contenders Europe. They did take part in the Gauntlet, although they didn't do too well. But beating Team Gigante in Europe is no mean feat, so that's a big props to them. He has had a long history in Overwatch Esports, dating back all the way to the beta in 2015. So, damn, he deserves a chance to prove his worth in the Overwatch League, don't you think? So he started out with Watch Out Gaming. He then moved on to Arcane Esports, then to B-Fly, then the Chavs, then Hammers Esports. Then he was in with Cloud9 EU as a stand-in, then Mosaic Esports, then GGEA. Before joining up with HSL, he was at Team Envy, which is obviously the academy team of the Dallas Fuel in NA Contenders. So, again, he's really been around the block. When he was at Team Envy, that was when the Fusion Uni were really dominant in NA Contenders, and they lost to Fusion Uni. Now, Fusion Uni aren't in NA Contenders anymore. Team Envy are a lot better than they used to be, so who knows where he'll be right now, but he does have Contenders titles under his belt with HSL Esports, so I really think Fischer is another player that really deserves a chance at the Overwatch League. He is already at the top of Contenders, so the next step for him is the Overwatch League, and I really think he deserves a spot. And out of all of the players on this list, I think he might be him and Leaf are the most likely ones to get picked up, because of the way they kind of really made a name for themselves at this World Cup, and a lot of the other players at the World Cup are signed anyway. So, here's a name you might recognise. He's been around for a long time. It's Haf-a-cool. Now, he's the first player who is not a DPS, which is great to hear. Haf-a-cool is an off-tank. He can also play the DPS. He's actually a really flexible player. He's more of a flex player than he is just a flex tank. But Haf-a-cool's always been at the top of Tier 2. He's such a well-known name at the top of Tier 2 Overwatch. He comes from Iceland. Iceland, yes, they didn't get past the preliminaries, but they came up against the United Kingdom, who were really good in the preliminaries, and then got dumped into quite a difficult group. And the UK just couldn't get through that, so it's nothing to be ashamed of for Iceland to go out to the UK in the preliminaries. Haf-a-cool, at this World Cup, was on DPS, believe it or not, and he's well known for his off-tank. Now, he started out as a DPS player. At the 2016 World Cup, which was the last time he featured for Iceland, he was actually a DPS player. And at this World Cup, he was playing we saw him pop off on things like the McCree, which is not easy to do in this meta. But I really think Haf-a-cool, I could champion Haf-a-cool an amazing amount. I mean, he used to be at the British Hurricane, who are the academy team of London Spitfire in European Contenders. And damn, this guy's off-tank is incredible. Now, the only drawback with Haf-a-cool is I don't know what his Sigma is like. I don't know what his Roadhog is like. The problem is with the meta at the moment, when you want to see Haf-a-cool is on D.Va, because his D.Va was really, really good. Now, D.Va is not meta at the moment, and I don't know what his other picks are like in terms of off-tank. Maybe that is why he was on DPS at the World Cup for Iceland. Who knows? He's another player with a very storied history in Overwatch esports, starting out in 2016 with Creation Esports. He then moved to Team Hybrid TM, then Ninjas with Attitude. Damn, I missed some of these names. Then Fnatic, and then Ninjas with Attitude again. 123, they were a pretty prominent name back in 2017. Then those guys, then British Hurricane, and now he's at Team Envy. Name cropped up just a while ago, didn't it? So, Team Envy doing pretty well in America right now. They won North America West Contenders Season 2 last year, beating the XL2 Academy. They also did very well at the Gauntlet. Obviously, the dominant team in American Tier 2 at the moment is the Atlanta Academy, the ATL Academy, because they've been basically doing what the Fusion Uni were doing when they were in there and dominating the scene. But they are in the eastern of North America. So, Envy are doing quite well at the moment, and it's with Haf-a-cool in that team. I really think Haf-a-cool deserves a spot in the Overwatch League. And there are a few teams looking for players like this. I would love to see Haf-a-cool paired with Fusions at Boston. That would be awesome. Now, Fusions is not actually contracted for next season for Boston right now. That has to be sorted out in the next 2 weeks, because signing window ends on the 15th and contracts have to be signed before they become free agents on the 11th if they've played for a team this year. Currently, the only two real stuck down for Boston right now are Jerry, their new DPS player, and Myung Bong, their new support player. So, we don't know with the Boston Uprising right now, but I really think the Boston Uprising would be a really cool place for Haf-a-cool to go and be paired alongside Fusions, because Fusions also played for British Hurricane at one point. So, that's really, really cool, and that would be nice to see that lit up again. The last player we're going to take a look at is Scalar, the only and first support player on the list. Again, for Team Denmark. There's kind of a thing here. There's other players on the Danish team that could have been picked up. Like, that Denmark team is really good. But I picked out Scalar. Scalar is a bit younger than the other people we've been looking at. He currently plays for the Uprising Academy in NA Contenders, and also played for HSL Esports and one point in European Contenders recently. So, Scalar, I think, is a pretty cool pick, and I'd like to see him either promoted from the Uprising Academy to the Boston Uprising, which again might happen. The Boston Uprising did let go of fellow Danish player Calyx, so who knows what might happen there, although Boston Uprising might try and go down a more Korean-based route. Who knows? Again, nothing's been confirmed with that yet. But Scalar is another player I think we will see in the league at some point, if not now. He made his debut at this World Cup. He's never been at a World Cup before, and look how they did. Scalar was really, really good, along with most of the Denmark team. But Scalar, I think, has a real good shot, especially as he kind of has age on his side as well. Whereas the other players we've been looking at are like 23, and when you get to that age, it's kind of like, it's more of a chance to take. Whereas a lot of the teams, and you'll look at this, they're looking for 18, 19-year-olds. Even like the Paris Eternal, they've signed Sparkle from Element Mystique. along with some other players from Element Mystique. They're not actually even going to be eligible for the start of next season, but they will become eligible in the middle of next season. The classic example is Sinatra for the San Francisco Shock, only becoming eligible halfway through the inaugural season, and look where Sinatra is right now. Currently the best player in the world. So, I think Scalar is worth a punt for a team. I really do think he's a good player, and again, another player that knows how to do well in those high-pressure environments, considering he's been on stage for Team Denmark this year. I want to give one honourable mention, and this goes to the Team United Kingdom DPS, Kib. Now you might be saying, well, Kib is in the Overwatch League. Well, he's not anymore. Philadelphia Fusion let Kib go. But Kib actually did pretty well for the United Kingdom at this World Cup, especially on the Farah, which was a bit of a surprise considering that's kind of not his massive standout thing. But he did pretty well, Kib, and I'd like to see Kib re-signed to a team. Whether that will happen or not, I think it's a real outside chance. I think Kib might drop down to Contenders now, but I would like to see him given another chance in the league. He really didn't get to feature too much for Guangzhou when he signed for them, and then he really didn't feature for the Philadelphia Fusion either. So he never kind of got off the ground. But when he was at the British Hurricane, he was real darn good. And in both World Cups, he's looked really good as well. So I think he's a really good honourable mention. But I can't put him ahead of the likes of Facility, Leaf and Fischer right now, because damn, those three in terms of DPS were really good. So, I'm going to leave it here for this one. This is going to be the final Overwatch World Cup video of this year. So, thank you to the Overwatch World Cup for this year. It's been a heck of a ride, despite the ups and downs. And I will be back. The next video will probably be transfer roundup for Overwatch League, because that's going to be coming out regularly now up until the 15th of November when the transfer window shuts. And then I've got to find something to do for December. Don't worry, I've got some ideas. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.